Hey guys, it's Mana here, and we are back with more Seduce Me to the Demon War. When we last left off, we were making preparations to fight the Demon Lord within like a week. Faye, Rabbit, and Sarah went off to put up a wall and trap the Demon Lord in his little corner so he couldn't escape. I get a feeling something's gonna backfire and go horribly, horribly wrong. So we're just gonna jump in and see what happens, I guess. I looked at Eric as he looked back at me. His eyes were full of love and appreciation as he smiled down at me, making a small blush run across my cheeks. Eric gently lifted his hand and caressed my cheek, making my face warm up at his touch.
You changed me for the better and turned me into a proper man. I would never wish for you to feel that I am disgusting.
I mean, you kind of had the proper thing down. Because you're very, like, prim and proper, haha. Eric. Eric was so sweet to think of me. I loved him for everything that he was and is. He was occasionally perverted and seductive now and then, but that was part of the charm I fell for. He was still my Eric. I love a perverted sense of humor. As I kissed his cheek, Eric gasped, and I could feel a quick forming warmth appear on his cheek under my lips. I pulled away and noticed a red tint across his face, but a loving smile still plastered on his expression.
Should we leave? They look like they're ready to make those babies now. Ow!
Knock it off, Matthew.
Before anyone could laugh, however, too late, I already laughed, another knock appeared at the door. I mean, knocks don't appear, they sound, but okay. Who is it?
Diana, dear. May I come in?
Sure. Come on in. As Diana entered, the room became silent. Her guard, Sarah, followed behind. Diana stepped into the room as well, followed behind Diana and stepped into the room as well, closing the door for her. He remained by the door as Diana looked at my plate.
Did you not enjoy breakfast? I can make you something else if you'd like.
Huh? I quickly looked down at my plate, realizing I'd barely touched the food. I shook my head and looked up at Diana. No, this is great. We were just talking.
I see.
Thank you for breakfast, by the way.
My pleasure. I'm sorry that it's not much, but it's something to fill the stomach.
It's all good. It's better than that stew that everyone else was eating.
Weird that Matthew didn't like it when he is a pretty good cook.
We had stew?
We had stew?
Trust me, don't worry about it. You're not missing much.
Indeed. Anyways, I came by to ask you something, dear.
Huh? Ask me what?
What exactly is going on? What was controlling you last night when your husband came around?
Right, Diana still didn't know what happened. Oh, well, we were just talking about that. As I stared at Diana, I felt something inside me grow very happy. Why wouldn't I be? She was feeding us and making sure we were at least comfortable. Hell, she was going to break the curse on me and kill the Demon Lord. At least I hope she would. Still, something felt odd about the way I felt. I shook my head and looked to Eric. He nodded and looked to Diana, causing her attention to turn to him.
A rogue spirit has taken refuge in her body.
A spirit?
How? We felt no such.
It's a child, Diana.
A mere child? What kind of child has that much anger and sadness that they can control a human body?
My lady, if I may.
Everyone in the room, myself included, looked at Sarah, who had stepped forward by Diana's side. Diana took a moment to watch Sarah measuring his intentions before nodding and stepping back. With a nod, Sarah turned away from her and looked to me. Sarah stepped once more in my direction before bringing his spear up and pointing it at me. What? Whoa.
What are you doing?
Without answering, Sarah continued to stare at me intensely. The spear in his hand began to glow a bright gold and white color, making me that much more concerned.
Sanctus et Husexiamentes!
Before anyone could jump at Sarah, the guard leaned forward merely an inch towards me, pressing the spear closer to my body. However, it was stopped by a bright white magic barrier that suddenly formed around my body, and the sound of a child screaming. The cry rang violently in my head, causing me to grip my head in pain. Okay.
Princess!
Eric reached for me, but found himself pressing against the shield as well, unable to get close to me. The sharp tip of Cyril's spear pressed against the barrier, causing white ripples to wave from it. Cyril pushed the spear harder, trying to pierce through. The screaming, however, intensified in my head with each push.
What in the seven hells?
I've never seen magic like that before.
I can hear it. The spirit is crying inside her head. It's hurting her.
Damn it!
Cyril finally pulled back and stepped away from me. The glow around his spear vanished, and Cyril looked at Diana. The screaming in my mind stopped at least, and the barrier finally vanished, allowing Eric to wrap his arms around me and pull me close to him.
This spirit is extremely powerful, my lady. Powerful enough to block holy magic.
That's impossible.
I quivered in Eric's embrace, feeling the after effects of the sudden event hit my body like a wave. My nerves were vibrating, and every hair on my body was on edge. My eyes, despite this, looked to Diana and Cyril. Diana looked at me and suddenly glared.
Clever spirit.
Clever spirit? What do you mean?
Look at who the spirit is haunting. She's practically bleeding endless waves of energy. The spirit must be consuming it to survive and use its abilities.
The entire room looked to me, and I could see in their eyes that she was right. Was I really that full of energy? What kind of energy? How did the amount of energy I had affect this? Well, let's see. Your grandfather was a freaking wizard, apparently. Or warlock or something. And summoned, 5 suck incubi to the human realm before he died? Let's think about this for a second. I don't know. Genetics. Where mouse got there?
The spirit is a demon, then?
Only a demon could make a barrier like that.
But a barrier against holy magic?
Yeah, that is kind of impressive.
It's unheard of.
Not necessarily. If a demon is powerful enough, they can block holy magic, but it takes a large amount of energy.
We have to find another way to expel it. If holy magic won't work, something else will. Spirits can't bind themselves to living bodies forever.
Yeah. We'll get this spirit out one way or another.
Yeah, it's called birth. Would we? This spirit was powerful enough to fight back against holy magic, which apparently was powerful on its own. I became nervous once again. Eric, feeling me tense up in his arms, gave my body a small squeeze in comfort. I closed my eyes, feeling his warmth slowly but surely calming me down.
Whatever the case may be, I'm sure we've at least weakened it. It shouldn't attempt to control you again, at least for today.
Thank you. Diana, because I'm trying to read too many words at one time. Diana ran a hand through her hair and looked around the room, pressing her lips into a fine line.
So, about all of you participating in the war, you all obviously need to train.
Everyone nodded in agreement to Diana's statement. While we weren't battle ready, we still needed to at least know how to defend ourselves. You know, that spirit would be useful in this though, because the spirit's not going to allow any harm to come to this character. So that's beneficial. Diana, however, looked to me.
You, most of all.
Huh? Me? I was suddenly confused. How come I was the odd one out that had to be ready the most? The last thing I remembered about me training was that Diana was against the idea altogether. Diana sighed and rubbed her temple.
Apparently, there are guidelines to breaking this curse. Not only do we have to kill the Demon Lord, but you have to be nearby when it happens for the curse to even break.
Huh! That's weird. Usually just eliminating the source of the curse is enough for it, no matter where you are, but okay. That makes no sense. Where did you learn this?
Shadow. He spent the night trying to find alternative ways to break your curse. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything of the sort, but we found the guidelines to breaking it.
Huh. Guidelines to breaking curses. Okay. Well, it still makes no sense.
Even while it doesn't, it's still better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to kill him and then still have you stuck here because of an error.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either. I could only sigh and take it in, so I had to be there when the Demon Lord fell. Great. Diana waved her hands dismissively through the air, breaking my potential thoughts.
Anyway, we can't have you dying on the way there, and we can't monitor you when we're in battle. You should at least know how to defend yourself. That's why we've come up with a solution.
Huh? What solution?
Simple. The other rebel leaders and Sarah have agreed that if you'd like a trainer to enhance your abilities, you can train with one of them.
I stared, seeing Sarah step forward with a nod.
Each of the leaders is proficient in a different area of magic and battle strategy, good enough for self-defense. I can't speak for the others, but I can assure you that with Sarah's skill and training methods, you will be well prepared by the time the siege arrives.
Sarah nodded and bowed to me slightly. While I was flattered at the idea, did I really need a trainer? I knew Taekwondo, and I at least knew how to defend myself, demon or not. Then again, we were in the demon world, where magic was the norm. I mean, he has holy magic. I feel like holy magic would be beneficial against demons. Just saying. Cyril seemed skilled enough to train me. He was Diana's right hand, after all, and he was the one who apparently stopped the Demon Lord from getting his hands on me. I at least had to give it a shot. Cyril nodded and looked at Diana, who crossed her arms.
Very well. You've made a good choice, I assure you.
With that, Diana turned on her heel and left the room.
Finish eating. Afterwards, you should start training.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan to me. Eric, why do you still not have a shirt on? Come on. Everyone in the room nodded their affirmation as Diana and Cyril left.
Well, it looks like we'll be busy for the next couple of days.
This'll be fun.
Man, training's gonna suck.
It'll be worth it, though.
Damien's right.
As we all finished eating, everyone left to either train or to do things on their own. I left to start my own work, determined to be prepared for what was to come. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I wouldn't let him. I chose to train with Cero. He seemed to be very skilled, so I trusted him to train me to the best of his ability. I didn't want to be a silent observer in this war. I wanted to pull my weight. Cero brought me into the Grand Hall, which he had apparently claimed as his personal training grounds, as Sergeant had to use the official grounds for the army. Personal training grounds?
When I train my lady, I bring her here. That way she is not seen by the army.
Why would her being seen by the army be an issue?
It's not a matter of it being an issue. We simply choose to train together alone.
Okay. I nodded. If Diana had her reasons, that was enough for me. Cero nodded in return before holding his hand out to the side.
Now, do you have a preferred weapon of choice? Choose wisely. You need to focus and master one weapon if you wish to benefit from this training. I won't allow you to change your mind later.
I stared at Cero, unsure of why he would ask me that. However, I closed my eyes and thought to myself for a moment. There were a couple of weapons I could think of. I thought of a gun, but what if human guns were powerless here? After all, demons had magic on their side. If they were powerful enough, maybe even a speeding bullet could be blocked with ease. I sighed and thought of what melee weapon I could use. I already know Taekwondo. Surprise me, a spear or sword. Cero shook his head. What?
You need a weapon for this war. Fighting barehanded is not wise against an army.
Well, I was hoping you would choose a weapon that would work well with Taekwondo techniques. You know about Taekwondo?
I do, but you are changing the subject. What is your desired weapon?
I don't know. Surprise me. Cero stared in surprise. What? I was ambitious enough to try anything. Why not? He probably knew more about weapons than I did anyway. Cero then gave me a small smirk before allowing black and purple mist to envelop his hand. I found myself growing nervous. What if he gave me a small dagger or something really hard to learn? I began to regret electing for surprise. Eventually, the mist materialized into a strange object, a large lavender triangular blade sticking out from what looked like a round gauntlet. As Sarah walked towards me, he formed a copy of the weapon in his other hand and handed both to me, the openings of each gauntlet facing forward. I raised an eyebrow at him. Was he really expecting me to stick my hand in those?
What, afraid to try something new now?
I shook my head. I had asked for this and was confident enough to try them. I slid my hands into the gauntlets and felt my fingers brush against the inner handles, allowing me to grip the weapons in each hand with ease. I lifted the weapons from Sarah's grip and observed them. They seemed very light, almost feather-like, but I could feel energy pulsating from them. What are these?
Gauntlet daggers. The human world has a similar version of these weapons called katars, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh. They seem pretty light.
They may be light, but they can be incredibly deadly if used properly. Imagine them as extensions of your arms.
So that would work good with Taekwondo techniques, I would assume. I don't know Taekwondo, so I shouldn't have an opinion. I gulped. Would I be able to learn how to use these properly enough to defend myself? I wasn't sure. I really do think they would work with the Taekwondo. Sarah walked away from me before forming his spear and gripping it tightly, ready to begin our session.
Trust your instincts. I'll go slow so you can adjust yourself to the weapon. However, I won't remain slow for long.
I stared at Sarah, now fully settling in to what I had signed up for. I was learning how to defend myself, and possibly how to kill someone else. I felt a nervous shiver run up my spine before taking a breath and trying to relax my muscles. Sarah seemed to take my breath as a signal to prepare, as he took a step back and readied himself with a stance.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Because I don't want to start getting into intense things and then have to end in the middle of it. So we'll come back with training with Sarah and these interesting gauntlets. Yeah. We'll see what happens. This was interesting. I do think that the spirit will be beneficial in a fight because it's not going to appreciate any harm coming to our character. Because, Mom, I'm still assuming it's a baby. That's how I feel about it. But what do I know? Anywho, I'm logging off now. I'll see you guys later. And remember to do something nice for a stranger today. You may just save a life. Bye!